We're live. Let's see here. Get that right. Okay. Hello, everyone over on TikTok, and I'm live streaming to YouTube and to LinkedIn today over here. So, welcome. Today, I wanted to talk about action cameras, and specifically, I'm going to be unboxing the my new not not a new camera. It's about a year old. The Insta360 X5, which is a 360 camera. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I'm going to unbox it today and kind of show you a little bit about that. Before I do that, what I want to start out with is to talk about kind of the two cameras that I have, that kind of the progression of cameras that I've used. Not so much for this kind of stuff. Like right now, I'm just streaming with a Logitech webcam, but a lot of the videos that I do out in the wild, if you will, whether when I'm traveling or running chainsaw or whatever the traveling, working out, I use action cameras. I'm not a fan of using um, iPhones or your cell camera for taking videos that you're going to use for, I don't know, marketing or whatever. That's just not something I really like. I find them cumbersome to set up and prepare, and then then it's not available if I need to use it for notes and things like that. So I've never been a big fan of using cell cameras to record much content unless it's literally the only thing I have. So for those that don't know what an action camera is, if you a GoPro is probably the most common example of an action camera. I've never used a GoPro. I don't have one. But the first one that I got, let me just introduce it to you here. Actually, let's do this. So this is the Insta360 um, Pro Ace Pro 2, I think is what it is. There may be a newer version now. I actually have two of these. And this is my favorite tripod. Unfortunately, they don't make it anymore, but it just detaches here. So this is probably the camera that I've used the most to record content. When I work out, when I travel, there's a mount that I can use this on in my car. Um, there's just so many different ways you can do it. It's waterproof, which is I still find amazing that something like this is waterproof. But it's a waterproof camera, and it's a lot like GoPros. The main differences, I guess, between this and a GoPro is probably um, the screen that flips up here. That was probably the biggest reason I got this camera is when you're recording, you can see yourself. You can see how you're framed, things like that. That is, I think, as far as I know, the biggest difference between the Insta360 and let's say the GoPros. And there's others on the market too, but I think GoPro has got the lion's share of the market. But I've been using Insta360 since I got my first one of these, and I've really, really liked them. Um, there is there's a little door on the side that you can use, and this has got the micro SD card, and this is where you charge it. And again, somehow it's waterproof when you have it closed like that. And then on this side is, if I can get it out here. This is the replacement battery. So that's what that looks like. You can kind of see let's see, sort of see the size of it. Um, it's not real large. Battery life is probably the biggest challenge with any kind of action camera. Um, I have two cameras, and I think I have two extra batteries and a charging station. I don't do a lot of swapping batteries out, but I do kind of swap between cameras. But if you're going to have an action camera, you're going to want a way to charge these things up and probably have some extra batteries. Um, I have found with the Insta360 at least that it does not like heat, but it does fine in the cold. So if I had this out in the sun, the battery life is the worst in terms of it might only last 20 minutes. If it's in a cool environment, whether it's outside or inside, especially if it's cold, this might record for 40 minutes. So action cameras like the cold, the batteries, they don't like the heat. So what I like about this is now you can connect this to your phone if you want to take some footage and use the app and do some editing, uploading. I don't ever do that. Um, you can either remove the micro SD cards, which I'm not a fan of, or you just plug it in to the charging spot. It's a USB-C on this one. Let you guys can see that. Plug it in, and then you can just connect it to your computer, which is what I do. I connect mine to my computer and just transfer the files over. Most of my footage goes onto a Google Drive, and from the Google Drive, either I'll edit it or I have people that edit the footage, or you can. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. This camera goes up to 4K. Um, I only record really in 1080p, primarily because the file size got too large um, for the people that do some of my video editing. Just their system couldn't handle it. I generally have good luck recording at 1080p. Your files get pretty large at 4K on these cameras. There's also I think 2.7K, which is pretty good. But I've been doing 1080 for a while and been pretty happy with it. So that is kind of the first camera that I got. It is it's small, but it's not tiny. It's not light. There's a lot of different ways that you can use it, I guess. The one I use the most is with this here tripod, which I love. I used to have two of them, one broke, and I cannot find one like this. I just love everything about this tripod. Um, so this is how I use it most commonly. But Insta360 has these quick release um, things, which I love. They're not cheap. Nothing is cheap really, but they're very secure, and you can move cameras to different mounts. So I have probably the other one that I use the most is a magnetic base, and I'll clamp that on. I have one that has kind of a I don't want to say it's really made to go on like a motorcycle handlebar. I use that a fair amount. I use that actually when I drive semi. It clamps on real nice onto the handle inside the door of the semi. Um, and I've got and then you can use if you want, you can use a selfie stick. This is an Insta360 selfie stick, which if you use this, you can get the selfie stick to disappear. It extends out quite a bit. Um, I don't actually use this as much as I would have thought. I tend to use this one more, but I'm going to get to this in a minute when I get to talk about the X5. So that's the kind of the big overview of the um, Insta360 Ace Pro. If you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments. But this is a great camera, and I like I said, I have two of them, and I use them pretty heavily. So anyway, so then the second action camera I got, because there are limitations to the Ace Pro. It has different attachments. Like there's a thing you can clip it on your hat. There's a thing you can put it on your chest if you want. It's a little big and cumbersome for that. And so sometimes you just want to I want to be just a little more discreet. So that's when I ended up with the Insta360 Go 3S. By the way, this is not a sponsored video. My Insta360 doesn't know who I am. I'm just telling you what I use. So then I got the Insta360 Go 3S. And what I love about this camera, again, this is similar. It has the flip out screen. This does not have changeable batteries, but what's really cool about it, and unlike the Ace Pro, this thing is not this outer part here is not waterproof. I found that out the hard way. I accidentally left it in a bag that I washed, and it went through the washing machine and killed that. But this part, see, this is where the magic is made. So this is it's got a little magnetic fitting on the back, and it will, and it you can, it's got a little thing you can clamp it on your hat. I've got that. It's got a magnet. I don't have it here in front of me, but you can like stick this to your shirt. I actually really like this one when I'm traveling, if I'm going getting on an airplane and stuff. I like this camera a lot because it's very, very discreet. And you could just get this in just very, very cool places. Um, this is sort of the battery docking station. So it goes in there and it'll start charging. Um, the battery life is not great on this. You don't want to do a lot of recording on it, but when you want that really unique shot, um, I really like the Go 3S. And because it's magnetic, you can like I've taken it to the gym and just stuck it on the rig. Um, this one too has a, I don't have the thing on this right now. There's a similar fitting that goes on the bottom of this, and then you can attach it to this. I often use this camera with a magnetic mount that I have. Um, so the Insta360 Go 3S. I did a video on this probably a month ago, and I said this was my favorite camera. If I could only have one camera, it would be this one, as opposed to the Ace Pro. I may have to update that video once I get the X5 out. But yeah, I love this camera. Some of the drawbacks to this camera, the battery life is not great, especially when it's not in the receiver, whatever you want to call it. This part is not waterproof. This actually is waterproof, which is a little weird. Um, and there is no replaceable battery, so you can't swap out batteries, and it does not have an internal like an SD card or anything like that. So the storage is all in here. I've never gotten close to filling it up, but if you did a lot of footage, you would, you need to transfer stuff, and there's ways to do that. I find that with the battery being somewhat limited, it's really hard to fill this up before you're kind of in a spot where you need to charge batteries and stuff. So I really like this camera. The these will both shoot in 4K and are similar to the Ace Pro. The way I get this one off, you can actually, I think, connect this like Bluetooth and get it off, but I just plug a cord in the USB-C, connect it to my computer, and I um, transfer files that way. Okay, so those are two action cameras that I really, really like, and they're very easy to, you get the files off, you can drop them on your computer. When I do editing, I don't do a lot of editing myself anymore, but when I do edit, um, I prefer to use CapCut. Um, Insta360 actually has a free um, editing program that you can use. It's actually really, really good. Um, it doesn't do great if it's more of a talking video like this is, but it does super great for editing sort of action clips. It's not, I don't think it's super great if you want to like bring in multiple camera angles, which is one of the reasons I went um, to the CapCut. I'm not sure what my video people use, what kind of program they use. If they probably use something more like Final Cut or whatever. But I've gotten by just fine using these kinds of cameras and CapCut for most of my editing. So let's talk about the sort of the star of today's show, which is the Insta360 X5. Let me see if I can get that up there. I can't tell if it's backwards on the camera on the screen or not, but so what's the main, so this is an Insta360 product. I just got this. Again, this is not a sponsored video. I just really like Insta360 products. So I'm going to unbox this for you guys. I'm not going to go through it too much, but I just kind of want to show you what's in here. So here's the camera. Here's the camera. We'll take it out here. The packaging is sort of an amazing experience now with modern cameras. I'm going to set that aside. So I'm just taking it out of the package. I haven't used it at all. Still got all the plastic on it. But as you can see, there is a camera on this side and a camera on this side. And I think you can hold it either way. I still have to kind of learn how to use it. Um, it looks like there is yeah, okay. So here's the batteries. Unfortunately, they're not the same battery as goes in my Ace Pro, so I have some other replacement batteries for these. I do not know how long the batteries last. I don't expect to be doing a ton of recording with it. I just want it for some key types of shots that I want to get. Um, why did I get the Ace or the X5? The the biggest reason I'm getting this camera, and I suspect it will largely replace my other ones, is that because this takes 360-degree shots, the probably the biggest pain of using action cameras or any kind of cameras if you're trying to, make YouTube videos and record stuff is, unless you want kind of boring videos, you're constantly moving your cameras around and trying to get different shots, different angles. So, and that's one of the reasons why I have multiple cameras, because I can kind of record the same scene from different um, positions, different angles. And so I really like that. I like, you know, mixing it up. Um, but it's hard. Like for example, one of the things I do a lot, I have a place in the country. When we get snow, I push snow with my old loader tractor, and people enjoy those videos. But it's kind of a pain because if I set the camera up here, it gets me when I'm on this side of the yard, but I quickly move out of frame. If I don't want just, views from outside. I want some on the tractor, some facing forward, some facing back at me. Um, and in order to do that, you either have to, like I said, have multiple cameras going on and then bring them in and produce them, or you need to, um, you know, edit them later, or be moving the cameras constantly during something, which is for me the biggest restraint I have, honestly, is time. Um, whether it's cutting wood or working out, or when I go on vacation, it's kind of like I don't have time to mess around with changing a lot of cameras and making sure they're in the right spot. So that's where this kind of comes in. So this allows you to kind of set it up, and you just get all the footage, whatever's going on. And I think it allows you to be a little more, I don't know, natural and in the moment. Um, it literally will catch everything. And the other thing that's really cool, and I'm excited to try it out. So I will be using the selfie stick with this probably, because one of the things that you can do with this, I've never used drones. I don't have a drone, but you can kind of treat this like a drone by extending this up way up, and it'll kind of be above you, right? And you can get your footage that way. Um, and because it's an Insta360, there's a way that you can get it so that the selfie stick will not show up in the film. Now, I'm not going to be doing any snowboarding and stuff like that people you typically use it, but it's nice to have that option if you want to. So that is so the main reason I got this is I wanted to, when I quickly want to do something and I don't want to spend a lot of time staging cameras and things, is I want to be able to pull this out, get it in a spot where it can see everything, and then I'm going to do my thing. Um, that's the goal anyway. That's how I'm expecting this to work. I will still use these other cameras, especially this one. Like I said, I really like this little camera here. You can put it in some very fun places. So I still will use that and probably incorporate that into the videos. and I'm sure I'll still be using this one. One of the things I really like about the this camera is you can't see it because it's over here off the side, but I have a tripod adjustable arm, and I actually can use this as a webcam for some of my recordings as a different camera angle or as an overhead camera. It really makes a great webcam. There's a cord and a little device that goes between that and the roadcaster. So there's multiple uses for these cameras that I really like. But I expect that this camera is going to largely replace those cameras for what I do. Um, Traveling and stuff like that, I'm probably gonna grab this one and maybe the small, Go S Go 3S. The main drawback to this that I'm expecting, and it was one of the reasons I kinda held off. Well, there's 2 main drawbacks to this camera. This is an expensive camera. Um, I think just bare bones camera, it's close to $600, maybe 550. It's not cheap, and that's not with spare batteries, that's not with an SD card. It is not a cheap camera. Not that the other ones are cheap, but, they're roughly half the price or a little more than half the price. So it's not a cheap camera. But second of all, and probably the biggest factor for me, is the editing is gonna be more challenging with this camera. Um, you can't just drag and drop this footage off of here onto a computer and edit it in CapCut or maybe even Final Cut. Some of those may have plugins. You have to do some um, you have to do some kind of pre-work, probably on the Insta360 app itself to be able to utilize it. So what's great about the 360, I mean, you can have 360 footage, but you're typically not using it that way. What you're going to do is you're going to focus in on the shot that you want, and then there's things that you can use to like focus on a particular person or a direction, and it will automatically stay in that frame. So you won't actually be able to tell that it was done on a 360 camera unless you leave it in 360. It's more so that you can, when I'm recording this, I can have a great view that way. I can have a great view behind me, a great view that way, and a great view that way, and whichever one I want. At any given time, you can switch around, change camera angles, and you get a lot of dynamic recording with something like this, automatically with one camera. Biggest challenge is the editing. That I have to figure out yet. I don't know if I will do that. I'm hoping one or more of my kids might be able to be trained on that, or to see if my video people, maybe my VA, can do that. So like I said, the biggest challenge with this camera is going to be the editing. Everything else is going to be an amazing upgrade. So I'm really looking forward to using this camera to, like I said, make it easier for me to record what I want without really artificially changing how I'm doing it, because I can get all the shots, all the different angles, all the things going on, and you really don't miss stuff. And especially if I use it when like when we go camping in the summer for a couple of weeks with the whole family. I want to be able to take it with me and get everything that's going on, including me and my kids. And and that's kind of the goal of this camera. This is supposedly waterproof. They also have like diving things you can put around it if you're going to do that. I'm not a diver. And then the other thing that is really great about these things, as I understand it, is if these lenses, because they do stick out, if these lenses get damaged, you can either unscrew them or pop them out and replace them yourself, and you don't have to send them in. So I'm going to try to be careful with it, but I'm realistic. So I'll probably have to find a case for this, but I'm really excited. I'm really excited about trying this out. I have not used it yet because, in part, because um, I did not have an extra SD card for this. Um, I have one coming. It'll be here in a couple days, so I'll probably do a little time, spend a little time getting to know the camera and the editing and all that, and then start recording some footage. So if anyone has questions about action cameras, editing, things like that, let me know in the comments. If you have particular questions about any of these cameras, these are the ones that I've used, so I can't really speak about anything else. If you have questions about any of them, pros and cons, let me know in the comments. If I think of it, I will put links to these cameras in the description after the fact over on YouTube, just so you can find them. I don't have an affiliate program or anything like that yet, so I'm not getting anything out of it other than just letting you know which cameras I use, and so you can find them for yourself. So if anyone has any questions about that, let me know in the comments. I might do a more in-depth um, evaluation of each of these cameras if people are interested in it. But I've been very, very happy with these cameras. They've take amazing footage, and I really encourage people to get a camera and record the interesting things that you're doing in your life, or even the not so interesting things that you do in your life, because I think it's really neat to be able to do that and capture that these days. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I appreciate everyone watching. If you're catching this over on YouTube, please subscribe so that you get notified of other videos. Thank you for everyone who showed up on TikTok Live. I will probably be back next week, if not sooner. So thanks for everyone for watching.